Hello, my name is Karl Meneghella. I'd like to welcome you to this episode of Education as a Garden Digit. Today it's my honour to introduce Dr. Wijaya Asiri from the University of Maratua to the Faculty of Engineering from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. Doctor, welcome.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Nice to have you here. How are you today?
Good.
Good. Before we start the actual lesson about information technology and about research, could we have a little bit about your story, your journey in education, and maybe your PhD dissertation, so we get a bit of an idea of where you come from?
Yeah, actually, so I graduated from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, University of Maratua in 2012. And then right after I graduated, I joined the department as a probation lecturer. And then I got a chance to do my PhD in University of Florida in USA. So then I had like 5 years of PhD journey there. So I did the research in actually a little bit of high performance computing versus radar technology. So my thesis title was actually the dynamic data driven radar reconstruction in multiple GPUs. And then after I finished my PhD, I joined the department in 2019 as a senior lecturer. And then from there, like I'm working as a senior lecturer now for almost 7 years.
Very good, very good. I like the way your research has applicability straight away, like you said about radar technology. So the research there will be very important for, I suppose, for airline industries, for maritime industries, anything that uses radar.
Yeah, actually specifically this is funded by US Air Force, so it's like a military research in that area, radar, like a radar detection of rural areas and likewise. So there are actually civil applications and military applications both. So this can be used to like identify maybe boats in the sea, like maybe like not very large objects in a very large area. So we use normally radar technologies to identify.
Very good, very interesting. Okay, and so today we're going to be talking about research and about information technology. I suppose to start we could talk about your idea of the role of research in driving innovation and change.
Yeah, actually, so I would say research is the most fundamental thing that gives really a meaning for innovation and progress. Because like without research, it's just kind of guesswork. So we have to incorporate proper research methods to get something meaningful. So if you like just look at some of the innovations, like even from the light bulb to LED to a smartphone, smart TV, everything has been a result of a research process. So I would say like it is actually not only for academics, but even for a human being. So research is most like one of the most important things in your life. Like when we have a problem, better to like use a research approach so we know exactly like how to move from a problem to solution. So my opinion is research is the most fundamental thing that drives the innovation and innovation.
I love the way you said that even in our general life, not just in academia, but in general life, if you have a problem, for example, researching that research, I suppose, mentality, the research point of view is the best way of finding a solution to that problem.
That is correct actually, because like without research, we can just come up with a solution, but maybe like in the middle of the way we will find out, okay, not the best solution. So instead of doing that, if we do a little bit of research, I'm not saying like go and dig it deeply, but at least you should ask critical questions, and with that we can come up with a really good solution.
I think it's a very important lesson for us all, is that there may often be many answers. It doesn't necessarily mean the first answer is the best answer or that the first solution is the best solution. And I think this is a very important thing for students, but also for people in everyday life, looking at the best solution for a problem.
Yes, correct.
So if we talk about that mentality of research, what do you see as being the main qualities and skills that are essential for someone who wants to be a researcher?
Yeah, good question actually. So for a researcher, I would say curiosity will be the most important factor actually, because like you should always see, or you should always be curious about why it is happening. So that is actually the result of inventing most of the things in the world. It's like maybe instead of someone just looking at it and just letting it go, yeah, that happened, but you should actually see or think why it has happened.
Why is it? Okay, yes.
That is the important question you should ask always, even not for like a very like highly technical question, even for a small thing that happens to us every day, we should always ask why. So that is the curiosity we should have. So for a researcher, actually, that is very important. And also, like from my experience, so researchers should be very persistent, and also we don't get the result in the first time, right? So we have to always try again. We should not give up.
Yes, yes.
So that is like important qualities of a researcher, and also you should see to the end. So sometimes, like, not the most brilliant people or the brilliant man discovers something, is the person that who doesn't let it go.
Persistent.
Persistent.
Yeah.
So if you just like keep it to your work, you should be able to do that. So that is like how you do a research.
As we both know, research can be a very lonely thing, very independent. Sometimes you're researching in a team, but often your research is independent. So I think some of these values and attributes you're talking about, things like persistence, curiosity, I think maybe also that sense of motivation, because we come across hurdles, for example, that being able to get back up and maintain direction, I think that's very important. Okay, so how do you view the role of information technology in the way it's shaping organizations and societies?
Yeah, so actually as a lecturer from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, so I see like a lot of things now happening in the world. So information technology is not just a tool or a support for society right now. Now it has been a backbone of the industries and society. And with the recent advancements of AI, so actually I will see that it will be tightened further. And for the organizations now, now it's at a point that where you cannot move forward without IT, without information technology.
Absolutely.
You can be from a finance side, you can be from a marketing firm, or maybe insurance, retail, food supply. It can be anything, or maybe like hospital, hotel, anything. Information technology is now the backbone of all of your operations. So as like people from information technology or people who drive the information technology, researchers, developers, they should also be aware that what you build will affect the whole society now. So that is also a responsibility that comes to us or to developers, that make sure that whatever you do, it's critical, it will be effective to the society.
And benefit to society. And I think sometimes we forget that, for example, let's say I have a grocery store. I might think, technology doesn't matter about me, but there's technology in the logistics to get the things from the farm to me, or from wholesalers to myself. So even if I don't think it's directly, there's somewhere is IT, which is for every industry, for every sector.
Yeah, that is correct. Like now you can't live without it.
Yes, absolutely. You mentioned about AI before, and I'd like to talk about that later on as far as perceptions about AI, because I think we've had people on the show before, and there are people who are concerned about AI in, for example, in research. But I'd like to get some of your opinions about AI and maybe the ethics of AI or in research.
Yeah, actually, so whether we like it or not, now AI is kind of like with us now. So we cannot get rid of it. So, but I always believe that we should really use it in a meaningful and ethical manner, because as a human being, it will be our responsibility, and also that we will decide how we use AI. So we have to take always the responsibility of using it for the benefit of the society.
Yes.
So in future, like I see actually with the rapid advancement or the phase that AI is evolving, in future, maybe not in 1 year, but in 5 years, 10 years, so the AI will have a huge impact on society. So
absolutely. And as you said, I think that's very important, is about the ethical use of AI. And I think that's something which a lot of people are either, they have an opinion, but often that opinion is based on subjective rather than objective. And I think, as you said, it's the genie is out of the bottle. We have AI anyway. Now we need to use it constructively and use it ethically. Okay, if we could talk about the skills and mindset that someone needs to have if they're going to thrive in information technology in that field, what would be the skills and mindset that you think are critical?
So actually, that definition also like change from time to time. But now with the AI era, So I would say anyway, the knowing the fundamentals is one of the most important thing, because like the tools, they come and they go.
Yes, yes.
But as a student who is uh, who is willing to come to the IT field, so you should always know the fundamentals. Like fundamentals means data structures, algorithms, and network principles, operating system principles. So all these things you should know the deep understanding how they work, how the systems work. So the tools you can languages you can learn anytime, and they will change time to time. So it's no point of like being an expert on those without knowing the fundamentals. If you know the fundamentals, it's very easy for you to catch up the next technology.
Okay, so it means you have to have the fundamentals first.
Yeah, that is number one. And always I would say attitude is very important. It's like, so if you are coming to this IT field, you should have the passion. So attitude, I mean the passion and the pleasure to work with the computers. Like I remember like from my old days, so when we try to solve a difficult problem, so we just don't give it up, right? So if we can't solve it today, we like go to sleep with like while thinking about it. And then in the morning, sometimes magically the answer appears.
Yes, yes.
So if you don't have that passion, working in the IT industry is not very easy, because like, you know, you have to always deliver on time and there are deadlines. So you might have to work 24 hours. So I'm not saying that as a, you have to work as a like slave for the company, but that passion should be inside you.
Of course.
If needed, without any instructions, you should be willing to work maybe 2 days, 3 days to finish what you are doing.
Yes.
So that passion, attitude is very important.
I think this is very valuable for all of us in every field, not just in IT. And as you've said, I think things like passion, that prepared to be committed to a project, and if you're not passionate about it, you're not going to have that energy to maintain that commitment.
Yeah. So like the happiness you get after you complete it should be there.
Yes, yes.
That drives you to the completion.
So you've had a lot of students that you've helped along the way. If you look at those students, and I think the students are changing, the world is changing, especially in your field of computer science and technology and engineering. That's changing all the time anyway. What would be a piece of advice that you think is timeless, a piece of advice for students that's going to help them maintain the necessary skills?
Yeah, that's a very good question actually. So my advice is, so if you want to come to the IT field, don't wait until like you finish it, or you finish your degree, or you graduate. So you have to always start early, like even in your first year or even before that, you have to check or you have to see what I can do. So always one advice is do things by yourself. So like it's okay to like talk to others and all, but very important thing is write the code by yourself, so that get the experience.
Yes.
Even right now you have AI tools to do it, but as a student you should do and see whether what you are capable of. And don't wait until you graduate. Start very early. So see what projects you can do, see what you can find in day-to-day life, or like maybe if you go to organization, public place, what systems you can build. And not necessarily you have to deliver to them, but just try it yourself and see whether you can come up with a good solution. And then you can like maintain a GitHub repo that you put your projects, especially for computer science IT graduates. It's like it shows that you are passionate.
Yes, yes.
So like if you have multiple projects under your name and commits every day or maybe like once every week, so that shows the passion, and industry is really looking for people with passion.
I think there's some very valuable takeaways. Being independent, getting experience when and where you can, using AI as a tool, and of course passion. And I think it all starts, as you said earlier, it all starts with curiosity. You could be a student in your first year, and let's say, for example, your mother and father have a store. You might be curious, saying, I wonder how I can make this better or more efficient. And so it could be a little project that you do for your own home, for example. Do you have any stories of projects that you've done, apart from the radar technology, projects that interest you in your career?
Yeah, actually, I have done like a whole lot of projects. So right after I did my A level, so actually I have a relation having like a rice mill kind of shop. It's a mill.
Yes.
So actually that is my first project. So I wanted to build something from my own, and at that time Java was the kind of the technology that everybody uses. So I wanted to get familiar with that.
Yes.
And then I went there, studied the process for like few days, what they are doing and how they maybe like issue the things and how they record these things in manually. So at that point everything was manual. So I went through this, I studied the system, and then I came up with a solution. So then that was my first project actually. Not a really big project, but it's kind of like a small ERP system.
But that's fantastic. And to look back on that, because that's your research methodology. You went there, you went on site, researched the curiosity of how can I make this better. I think that's a very motivational example for everyone.
Yeah, that is correct. At that point, without knowing that what is research, I anyway like studied it. So that should be the natural thing for everyone. Like
Yes.
you don't need to be academic, you don't need to know the scientific research method, but like studying things, thinking about that is just research.
Yep. So we could take that from a very small example to, for example, an app. You might be wondering, why can't this be more efficient, or why can't we have this? And that could be the impact, the impetus to actually design an app or a piece of software or a methodology or a procedure which can have real-world applicability. And that doesn't mean you have to wait till your graduation. That could be in your own time.
Yeah, actually, personally, I did most of my projects before I graduate. Because
Right.
after graduation, I joined as a lecturer. So after that, my role changed from being a developer to a academic. So like almost all the projects I did are before my graduation. But actually, these days also I'm writing another project for our postgraduate application system. But so it doesn't end with when you graduate.
Yes.
Like always, you should have the passion to work in the IT field.
Very good. So that was some advice for our audience. As far as being a researcher, how do you find that as yourself as going through that research? Do you do collaborative research with other universities, for example? Could you tell us a little bit about some of the research projects that you or your colleagues have done?
Yeah, so actually I have been a part, like a member of multiple research projects mostly in our university though.
Yes.
So we have like multi research centers in the university, so we collaborate with different other departments. So as an example, we collaborate with civil engineering to develop a mobile app to detect actually the traffic control and also the road conditions.
Fantastic.
So that is one of my projects that I developed. So if you like drive through any road in Sri Lanka with the mobile app on, you can identify the quality of the road with like the sensors available in the smartphone.
Yes.
With like this gyroscope and all, you get the variations or vibrations in the road, and that at the end using machine learning actually we translate it into a index. So that is actually the international indexing where you can find out whether the road condition is between like 1 to 10. So there are actual devices for that, but they are very expensive and you need like a special vehicle to run on the roads.
Yes,
so
of
in
course.
Sri Lanka, like we have only very few, but with this mobile app, anyone, like any of you can install it and just drive it through any road you want, and at the end you can find out the quality of the road.
That's amazing to think that some of your projects come to market, and so other people are now benefiting from your research, for example. Now they're benefiting. So for example, if you're using this app, apart from you using it on your phone, as an example, I'm using the app and telling me about the road condition, it actually goes back to the researcher who developed the app, because he or she had the idea what would happen if we had an app that could do this. And so I think that's really a very good lesson about, again, going back to your initial thing about curiosity. What would happen if? Why not? Those kind of questions.
Yeah. So apart from that, actually, we have been like working on some disaster reduction systems, so which is, I believe, something important in Sri Lanka again. So that predicts the flooding and economic impact of the flooding.
Yes,
so we
yes.
can predict it and estimate, and we can take actions to mitigate it. So that is one of other projects that I have been part of. And my actually PhD research area is from GPU computing, so I have been doing multiple projects with that also. So one drawback is, like a country like Sri Lanka, we don't have the best GPUs in the market. So because of that, actually there are some setbacks, but we are working with what we have. So there are like multiple projects going on every year, regarding GPU and high performance computing as well.
Right. I think there's also transferability. For example, you're talking about tools to measure the impact of flooding in Sri Lanka. That's something which would be very valuable in a lot of Southeast Asian countries. Thailand, for example, I spent a lot of time in Thailand, that's prone to having floods. A lot of Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, all of them are prone to flooding in certain areas. So I think that transferability is also very important.
Yeah, so actually you need to customize for whatever the place you use, because like in we use it in Colombo and southern areas. So we have a map of like all the buildings and everything.
Yes.
So we know exactly like how it looks like. So if the flood happens, we know exactly like which areas will be affected.
Yes.
So but the machine learning and all the same methods can be used, but you have to customize it for a different place actually.
Very interesting. I think it's amazing. I'm not very au fait with information technology. I'm an end user, but I have no idea of how, for example, how the apps are made, and it's given me a little bit of a window into seeing some of the cycle of that curiosity, research, proposing the research, actually undertaking the research, being able to motivate yourself to keep seeing it through to the end. And I think that's very important. But it certainly makes me appreciate the apps I use, or the programs I use, or the software I use a little bit more, and know the researchers are behind it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for today. It's been a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. And I hope you enjoyed this episode of Education as a Garden. Dig it. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you. Bye for now.